Hi there guys, welcome back to another how-to. In this how-to I'll be covering how to fit a brand new headset and how to fit a set of forks, also how to insert a star-fangled nut into your steerer tube. So we'll be covering a fair bit of ground here. I will be putting time codes in the notes below so that you can jump to certain sections of the video that might be more relevant to you. So the main tools that you'll need for this is a headset removal tool, a star-fangled nut setter, a headset press, as well as some grease and some copper slip or some anti-seize paste for the headset cups. You'll also need a set of Allen keys and a torque wrench for doing up the bolts when you're done. You should also use a lower race setting tool which helps you knock the lower race onto the fork. First things first, we need to remove the front wheel. Get your Allen keys and remove your disc brake. Put the parts to one side. Now we can undo the stem and the top cap. So top cap's just up here. It's usually a 4mm, might be a 5mm bolt, Allen bolt head, and we'll undo the stem here as well. Try and undo the bolts evenly because it puts less fatigue on the stem then, apparently, as they say. Okay, so now that's all loose, so these forks could drop out at any moment. So slide off the handlebars, remove your spacers, well, I've broken that, but it is only a cheap plastic one, that's why I'm replacing it. And boom goes the forks. There we go. I make mistakes so you don't have to. Whoopsie! You can just leave your handlebars dangling away if you like, but I'm just going to quickly cable tie mine to the frame. You can put a rag in there if you like, just to help protect the frame. Right, so this is the old headset. The reason I'm pulling this out is because it's a loose bearing type and they don't tend to weather too well. So now with everything removed, we insert our headset removal tool. That's in place. Now you should really use a soft mallet for this one, but this is what I've got handy at the moment. Boom, that's gone. There we go, headset's nicely removed, that was easy. Now, you might want to just give that a blast of a bit of degreaser to clean it if there's any crud in there. There shouldn't be anything in there. Now you don't need to overturn it. Once it's in, it's in. Now the next stage is to fit the crown race on the steerer there. You can use a crown setting tool. They're about 20-30 quid. Basically you put the race on the fork and you tap it down. Or you can get a chock of wood and a hammer, and if you tap all the way around the steerer tube you will eventually tap it down. But it is a bit of a dodgy way of doing it and it's not ideal, but it will get the job done. We will insert these why is it so hard to say? So now that we've fitted the bearing race on the crown of the fork, we will put the star-fangled nut in. You can again bodge this simply by taking your star-fangled nut and tapping it in with a hammer. A star setting tool is not very expensive, and at the end of the day it's a little bit easier. Like I said, I promised myself that every time I need a specialist tool now, I'm just gonna buy it, and it'll save me time and effort in the future when the job needs doing. So this is how you do it. You just screw on your star-fangled nut and basically you knock it in until it reaches that stop. Now this is a handle so that you can slide it over there, and you just tap away until it stops. There we go. And then you just unscrew it and your nut is in place. Okay, so I'm just going to apply some grease to the bearing. I'm using rock and roll as I always do. The lowest seal there. Place some grease on the top here as well. And then goes the top bearing. Spot more grease. Now all grease will do is just help prevent a bit more water from getting in there. So let's slide in our fork. There we go. Now we've got our cone washer, which slides in place, and our top cap. Now there's normally an O-ring in there which makes it a little bit firm to slide in. Oh, there we go, it's gone on nicely. So that's the fork in place, and now we've put our spacers back in and the stem back on top. Reinsert the stem cap, tighten that up, and now that won't move. So now the next thing to do is to adjust the preload on the stem cap here. That helps to remove any slop and rattles and shakes out of the fork. You can normally feel this when you apply the front brake and just rock the bike back and forth. That means that your headset's not tight enough. So with the stem bolts undone, you just tighten this up until you've taken away all that slop, but the steering still feels smooth. So you can still actually turn the bars, and the bars feel nice and buttery smooth, but there's no play. So there we go, I think we're already there. Yeah, that feels really nice, and there's zero play in there. So next I'm going to fit the front wheel, make sure everything's straight, and I'm going to torque up the stem. So once you've got the handlebars aligned to your front wheel and everything's nice and straight, it's just a case of torquing up your stem to the factory recommended torque rating. Tighten up your bolts alternately to the recommended torque setting. So there we go. Done. So all I've got to do now is refit the front brake. The job's a good one. So there we go. I hope you liked. Oh God, that is smooth. So there we go. I hope you like this how-to video. I've fitted the headset there, we've fitted a star nut and a brand new set of forks. Pretty easy job really, it's just about having the right tools. You can bodge it, for example when you're knocking out the cups you could use a screwdriver and a hammer and actually just tap around the inside of the cup. That will get the cups out, but once you've got the right tool, you've got it for life. For pressing on the cups you could also use just a nice long piece of threaded bar, some nuts and 2 pieces of wood, and effectively it does the same thing. As you tighten up the nuts it will clamp it all together, and like I said, you can knock the lower bearing race on the crown of the fork with a piece of wood and a hammer.